As we read in yesterday's gospel, Jesus went into the temple and scattered the money counters' tables and drove out the animals and prevented the people from carrying things around in the temple because it was God's house and because this was Jesus' role as Messiah, as the Son of God, and he had the authority to do that from his Father. And the Pharisees are asking him, where do you get this authority? And he turned the question to them, well, you answer this question to me and I'll answer to you where I got my authority. Where did John get his authority to go and preach in the desert? Where did he get his mission? Did that come from God or from himself, from a human origin? And they didn't want to answer, because if they said it came from God, then they would have to follow what John was teaching. Same thing with Jesus. If they accepted his authority, his teachings, then they would have to follow it, and they didn't want to submit themselves to the authority of Jesus. So he said, I won't tell you. Then Jesus said, I won't tell you whose authority I received. And of course, Jesus' authority came from God. All authority comes from God, even the authority of the Pharisees and scribes, as Jesus confirmed in another place, that we should do whatever the Pharisees tell us to do, but not to follow their example. So authority is important, and Jesus underlined that. Authority is important for all of us. Of course, with authority we have unity, we have order, we have peace, and it comes from God. And it's an opportunity for us to exercise obedience and humility, and to renounce our own will. And so it's beneficial for those who are not in authority to exercise their role of peacemakers, of helping those who are in authority, and of recognizing the presence of God in the leaders, and exercising that faith. But we should not seek authority. We should not be ambitious, because there are many dangers to authority. There are anxieties as well, and burdens and responsibilities, and a great accounting that has to be done for those who are in authority. So it's not something to seek, and it's something to even pity those who are in authority, because of the enormous accounting they have to present before God. And so it's something, that's why we always pray for our bishops, pray for those who are in charge, to help them so that they be good leaders, and so that they don't do great harm to themselves. And so we who are not in authority, we should be happy not to be, because of the rewards that we can receive from obedience, and a certain freedom too. It's a freedom not to have to follow our own will, which jerks us around and makes us do every little whim that we want to do. We follow our own whims. There's a kind of slavery there, to follow one's own will all the time, and those who are in authority perhaps have that kind of a burden of their own will. And there's our opportunity to learn humility, to learn to be free from all the distractions that come with being in charge of things, and where we can know God's will with certainty, if we are not, to turn to those who are in authority to have their will expressed to us, and we know that is God's will, as long as it's not sinful. And if we are in charge, or we do have that role of authority, that we should recognize from the scriptures and from teachings of God and in scriptures, that we should always strive to be humble, to be charitable, not to lord over others our authority, not to be like a dictator, but to be like a shepherd, to be like a father, to be charitable, to be patient, to follow the golden rule and to treat others as we would want to be treated ourselves, and to be a good example. To be a good example, especially because this is where so many people can learn from those who are leaders. They have to be those good examples, and if they're not, they have this enormous accounting to present before God. So let us pray for those who are in authority and pray for ourselves that we can see God's will in them and to practice this virtues of obedience and humility and service.
Fructum ventris tuum.